Right, man. Looking good, looking good, looking good. There we go. We live. All right, people. How you doing? Mrs. Black.
Hello, Dr. West. Hello, Wolfpack.
I'm gonna add them in just a second. What's up, guys? How you doing? We back to the show. We got a special guest tonight. Mrs. Black wanted to say hello. The one and only Dr. Cornel West.
Now, no, it's the one and only Tim Black and Sheila. That's who's the one and only. Let's just get this straight. We get this straight from the beginning.
I
You
was
know.
gonna say something.
No,
Hi.
no, that's
How
what
are
Sheila.
you? Hi. Good to see
Hi,
you.
beautiful.
Oh, hi, beautiful. Well, just wanted to say hi. Nice to see you both.
You
Mm.
as well.
Nice to see you, Dr. West.
Oh,
Thank you, brother
it's a
Tim.
blessing.
Bye. Thanks, Sister Sheila.
Blessing. Both of y'all just salt of the earth. That's who you are.
And Dr. West is in the house. He's in the building once again, man.
Lord, well, you know
How you feeling, sir? How you feeling?
brother, you bless me, man. There's no way that I could go to the election day without trying to get back on your show and just letting you know the kind of love and respect I have for you. You my kind of black man. Because you ain't on nobody's plantation. You say what you mean what you say, you speak from your heart and soul and your mind in light of the memory of your grandmama and concerned about your children and the unborn. You start on the chocolate side, you embrace everybody, but you start on the chocolate side. And whether people agree or disagree on everything, they know this brother is for real.
Man, Dr. West, man, coming from you, brother, you know that's an honor, my brother. You know this, and you know it.
The truth, man.
I'll tell
Brown
you.
used to say, he tell Bootsy and them, don't leave nothing on the stage. Give it all at the depths of who you are in trying to serve the people. And that's what you do every night. And I tell you, brother, you know I'm watching you, man. And I know they coming at you tooth and nail, hell and high water. And certain nights I'm praying for you. I pull my Bible out and I say, oh, Lord. God be with my brother. I know they messing with it just like they messing with me, but all the threats and assaults and attacks. And then others, you come back strong as ever, and you just keep being yourself, be true to your calling, brother.
Hey, Dr. West, man, I tell you, it is a fight, but we fight the good fight, right?
That's exactly right.
And you know what? You know what, Dr. West, man, to be totally honest, man, one of the reasons why I haven't been back in touch trying to bring you back on so quickly is because, man, I value your friendship so much. And you know what I'm saying?
We're going to be friends and brothers no matter what.
Yeah,
you know what
brother.
I mean?
But you know what I mean? It's some people see it one way. I mean, for the record, Dr. West, is just that I don't really want to disagree with you on too much.
No, you can disagree with me on anything you want, brother. I know it's coming from the love inside of you.
Brother. You know, it's brother. You know, man. I don't want to give people that. Like, I know some people want that. They want to see brothers going at each other. They want me to, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to give them what they want just to give them what they want. Like any criticism, any questions I have, brother, they're not rooted in that antagonism shit.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I understand that.
You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. That's exactly. But I mean, if we at the barbershop, in the pool hall, and standing in front of the church or the mosque, we got disagreements, and we understand how we deal with our antagonisms and things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but at the same time, we know that we got a love for black people that is unconditional, unapologetic. It's an unstoppable predilection to make sure that their futures are better. And it doesn't stop there, but it starts there and it lingers. And that's what it is to get off the plantation.
It is.
This sister right here, when she went down 19 times, you remember Harriet Tubman?
Yes.
19 times in the belly of the American white supremacist Slavocratic beast. And what did she discover? She said, oh, I would have been able to liberate more if they'd known they were slaves.
There it is. There it is. If they only knew they were slaves, brother. If they only knew.
They'd get more foremen. They would get more forewomen. They got movement on the plantation. They calling that major progress. She said, no, don't confuse movement on the plantation, even when it's upward with being on the Underground Railroad. You got to break from plantation mentality, break from plantation social connection, be free. And you're only free when you're in your own rich tradition that has taught you to love yourself and respect yourself and determine yourself and then connect in principle with others based on an integrity and an honesty. And that's what we don't have enough of in Black America. We certainly don't have it in, the larger fascist America, but America would have been wholesale fascist without the Black freedom movement a long time ago.
Right.
So the Black freedom movement has been on intimate terms with fascism. Let's just be honest about that.
And and that's one of the things I had questions about, man, is this level of fascism, man. I keep hearing this word thrown around so much about Trump, man. And my thing is, I don't see the Democratic Party as being much better than Trump, and I see them both as corrupt parties. So why do people so focused on demonizing Trump? It just seems like it plays into this whole Democratic Party bullshit. I think it's their way of just trying to smear when they're just as corrupt. Republicans and Democrats are corrupt.
Well, the whole system is corrupt, not just the political system, but the predatory capitalist system that sits behind it and the imperial system that pushes it in terms of foreign policy. Now, it's certainly the case when it comes to reproductive freedoms and peaceful transfer of power and things. There are going to be some differences, but the differences are not qualitative differences such that you downplay looking for alternatives. And most importantly, and this is the sad thing about it, is when you end up with folk who know they lying, but will lie to rationalize the Democratic Party anyway because they can't conceive of any kind of alternative, or they're just on the gravy train rather than the freedom train. They just making money. They want their status, their spectacle, their position. And when I see that in corporate media and I see these folks, they telling a lie. They know that Harris is tied to war crimes. Genocide is genocide. If Martin were here, he'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
If Ella Baker were here, she'd say the same. If Harriet Tubman were here, if Fannie Lou Hammond, when she was outside the Democratic Party, there were some Negroes on the inside.
Yep.
She just told the truth about it. Now, she didn't, she's a Christian, and I'm trying to be Christian myself. So we don't demonize in terms of viewing them outside the human race. We just criticize intensely, compassionately.
Right.
Because we come from a people of truth tellers and love warriors and freedom fighters, brother. Once we give up on that, then we might as well just push Sam Cooke and Sly Stone and Aretha out, and let's just go with Pat Boone.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
We just got Pat Boone and Lawrence Welk. That's all we really got. Oh, and some black versions of that. And some black, hey, no, we ain't gonna never go that way, man. No, we're gonna be free black men.
Free black men. Dr. West, what have you learned on this campaign trail, man? It's been a year. You've been out here going across the country. Is it something that you take with you on this experience, man, that's gonna stay with you? What's something you can say for the audience?
It's a wonderful question, my brother. It's a wonderful question because it's been now 17 months. We go back now 17 months, man. 17 months. I gave over 1,000 interviews, of which interviews with you have been so precious and golden. I gave over 350 speeches. And of course, all of this without a penny. So I'm broke as the 10 Commandments financially. And I had to take a leave of absence because the salary was viewed as a contribution to the campaign. So you know how broke I am, Wow. But what did I discover? I discovered that the American empire is more civically rotten than I thought. It's so empty. It's so shot through with so much organized greed and weaponized hatred. And I discovered that the two-party system is more corrupt than one could imagine. Millions and millions and millions of dollars of folk organizing, mainly the Democratic Party, against us to keep us off the ballot. And then when we try to go get some lawyers, we can't get any lawyers because they're afraid of the Democratic Party blacklisting in. So we get some libertarian lawyers, and sometimes they vote Republican. Oh, you got Republican ties. We're looking for lawyers who's fighting for truth and justice in the legal system. Do you think they got a noose around my neck? Does it sound like I'm not saying the same thing I've been saying for 55 years? No, not at all. So all the different lies start going, I mean, it's pathetic, though. We had the same thing. We had the poverty tour against Brother Obama, and people say, Fox News must be paying y'all because you're talking about poverty and that's making the president look bad. Since when is the Fox News concerned about poverty? No, we free black men. We don't get a penny from nobody. We're trying to keep alive the legacy of Martin King, Fannie Lou Hamer. They talked about poor people, working people, and the relation of poor people here in those bombs dropped in Vietnam. Just like we're concerned about the barbaric genocide in Gaza, and ain't nothing gonna stop us. But I'm concerned about mass incarceration. I'm concerned about decrepit schools. I'm concerned about unavailable health care and child care. And I'm concerned about the wealth inequality, and also concerned about Black people's psyche. You see, we're projecting to the younger generation, everybody sells out. That's become the norm. That's become natural. Of course, everybody sells out because that's all we know. As my brother Cliff says, everything's transactional, not transformative. Everything's quid pro quo rather than I want to give to you. Yeah. It's a sad thing. It's like going to our churches, man. We used to go to church with what blood would transform you, and you say, I want to be a blessing. Now the blood is Kool-Aid. You dip in and you're looking for a blessing. No, that ain't got nothing to do with our tradition. That's commodified religion, prosperity religion. That's one in which cream has become hegemonic. Cash rules everything. All right, that's the geniuses from Staten Island, right?
Absolutely.
That's Wu-Tang.
Absolutely.
No, we ain't gonna wait. We're not putting up with that. And you see it in the media. You know, we've talked about this before, right? You see it in corporate media. They're supposed to be independent media. No, they're looking for markets too. They're looking for eyeballs too. They claiming to be so progressive, but Tucker Carlson is their hero. And turns out Tucker Carlson is embracing white supremacy every day, following Trump around like he's some kind of extension of the fascist project. How did he become your hero? I thought you were concerned about class struggle. I thought you were concerned about justice. I thought you were concerned about poor and working people. Well, there's some working people in Trump's. Hey, fascists always did. Same way with Kamala Harris. All these black folk going, yes, black folk can be seduced. Black folk can follow illusions. Of course, they're human beings. Somebody got to tell the truth. And none of us have a monopoly on the truth. You know what I mean? That's why we love each other, learn from each other, listen to each other. I could be wrong, you could be wrong, but I know it's coming from the love in your heart, brother.
That's it, brother.
That's what I'm, because each time I hear you talk, I'm just listening to the Sam Cooke in you. You see, I'm listening to the Sly Stone in you. I'm listening to, because they're singing from their soul, man. They ain't got no deodorized, sanitized dialogue. They singing from their soul.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, Dr. West. You know, I get in trouble, Dr. West, because the way I see it, man, I just see Kamala Harris as being the worst of evil for me, man. She's just what she has behind her. I look at the way the media moves about with her, the way they work in tantamount against Trump. It's scary, man. And then I got a number of reasons why, but when I say to you, I say, in my view, Kamala Harris is the greater evil. What's your response to that?
Well, I tell you, there's a brother who was the greatest journalist, revolutionary journalist of his generation. His name was Glenn Ford. You know, Brother Glenn.
Absolutely.
I used to break bread with him every month. I'd take a bullet for that brother. He'd take a bullet for me. We had deep love, respect, and we had disagreement. His argument was exactly your argument. He would tell me, Brother West, those Clintons, Obamas, Bidens, and he would say the same thing now about Harris. They are the more effective evil. They are the worst evil because they put black people to sleep, and the Black freedom movement is the major catalyst, if not a fundamental cause of progressive movements across the board. And therefore, anytime you yourself create certain kind of connections, like my relation to Bernie. We used to fight about that all the time. You spending all that time with Bernie Sanders, he ain't gonna do nothing but bring folk into the Democratic Party. I said, I know, but his critique of Wall Street greed gives it a certain publicity. His critiques of capitalism can be weak as pre-sweetened Kool-Aid, but still concerned about elites having arbitrary power. He said, I know that, and I understand that. I understand that. He said, but the Democrats are the more effective evil. Now, my counter argument was, of course, I said, but good God Almighty, you see, when the levels of contempt and hatred, which are more raw, and that's what you get with Gangster Trump. I mean, he has a rawness about him in terms of what he says about precious immigrants, what he says about black people, what he says about Haitians. You know, we can go on and on and on in that regard. So people say, well, he's more honest. Well, yeah, but that kind of rawness lets you know that the depths of the hatred and contempt are there. And if, in fact, he's able to give permission to hate and gives that permission to hide the greed that the hate conceals, then that could do major damage, and sometimes more damage than even the militaristic Democrats with their own fascist elements. That's how Brother Glenn and I would go back and forth, back and forth. And sometimes, you know, certain days I say, Brother Glenn, man, your argument is so strong. In other words, he said, well, you know, Brother West, I can understand. Like, because he come out of the South, in South Carolina and Georgia. And so, in fact, his father was the owner of the first radio station that James Brown bought.
Wow.
So he came out of the music. So we get into James Brown and stuff. He's just a magnificent human being. And he's the founder of Black Agenda Report. People need to know that.
Right.
At least one of the founders, but leader and so forth. See? And I just say that to say that what you're saying has a rich history. You're not isolated, brother. I mean, Glenn Ford was saying that, and he was talking about these issues in a very deep way.
Yeah, you know, it feels isolating to a certain degree based on where I was.
Right.
You know, being a supporter of Bernie, and I've moved beyond that. That was a moment in time.
Right.
And I have evolved into both parties are horrible, and I feel irredeemable. Therefore, I support third parties.
Both parties are irredeemable, but you are never irredeemable.
No,
you
no person. Right.
Right.
No person is irredeemable, Doctor.
That's exactly right. And not only that, but man, anybody that listens to you and can't see the depths of your love and compassion and courage to speak the truth, then they need to get off the crack pipe. I mean, just need to get off. Just tell them, just get off. Because, you know, it's like everybody not supposed to sound like everybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Eddie Kendricks ain't supposed to sound like Russell Thompson Jr. leading the lead for the stylistic, but both of them falsetto. And so you got your voice, and your voice is unique, and God is using you in a mighty, mighty way, brother. And I tell that to the world. They say, oh, West into that God stuff. That's right, motherfuckers. I believe in God. That's right. I believe in powers that work through us. Yeah. And I see that in you. And I don't ever want you to get encouraged or in any way
discouraged. Right.
I don't want you to get discouraged. I want you to be encouraged and of great courage. And I say that from the bottom of my heart, even as we listen to the counter arguments. We engage in the dialogue.
I get it. I understand your argument as well. I get it.
Exactly.
Dr. West, did you hear what happened today with Liz Cheney?
No. What happened, man?
Well, your favorite people, Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson were having a conversation, and her name came up. And Trump said something to the extent, exact words were, you know, Liz Cheney is crazy. And then Liz Cheney was a warmonger.
Well, he's right about being a warmonger.
Right.
Oh my God!
When he said crazy, he said war crazy, and she always wanted to go to war.
Well, her father and her. That's right.
And he said, you know, he wished that she would go. You know, she wants to send young boys and young men to war. She should go and stand in their place. She should go have to fight in a foreign land and see how she feels when bullets are facing her. And they've taken that and said he threatened her life. See what I'm saying? They've taken that. Now that's everywhere, Dr. West. Wow. And he's only saying something I've said, many people have said about people who send young men and women to die in war. You know, these older white men, these rich white men, older, powerful men, send younger men to die in their place for money. And that's what he was saying about Liz Cheney. And the media apparatus, Dr. West, has taken that and said, we're going to investigate Trump for threats against Liz Cheney's life for making that statement.
That's what they talking about today.
That's what they're talking about today.
Wow.
And that's a prime example of why I feel like I have such a venom towards their propaganda, their smears, and it's so tactical, Dr. West.
No,
it's so pervasive. And they got all the machinations, like every news agency, Dr. West.
It looked like they just have the little talking points and they just crank it out. But at the same time, you see, you got Trump talking to Tucker Carlson. Now he the same one that talking about George Floyd must have done something. Let's look at his history. Trayvon Martin Michael Brown must have done something. Mm-hmm. No, they got beat up, murdered, brutalized by the police. So that you get people who have their own venom, their own propaganda machine, their own lies, their own mendacity. And again, it's tied to being on this plantation, though, man. And you can't be on the Trump plantation, Fox News. You can't be on MSNBC, CNN plantation, Democratic Party. You got to be a free person across the board. And that's true even with some of the left-wing organizations, man. Yeah. You know, people go to Green. No, they get on the Green plantation too often. Can't say a mumbling word about Iran in terms of the suppression of the woman life freedom movement and the repressive policies of the mullahs. No, because Iran is supporting the Palestinians. That's right. And that's a wonderful thing. They're supporting the Palestinians. Right. But at the same time, they got their own repression. Yeah. Putin himself, he is a war criminal too. He's got criminal invasion, but he's got a right to security. That's why I think the war needs to be brought to an end. I think he was provoked, but that doesn't mean that somehow he doesn't have his own forms of domination that he has to be responsible for. China's the same way. Same way with rulers in Africa, no matter what color they are. If they're for the people, they're for the people. If they're elites that are not for the people, then they're collaborators with imperial policies, be it the United States or anybody else. Well, see, that's what it means to be free. See, right. You're tied to truth, justice, and love, no matter what. Same is true with religious folk. All of these gangsters in the pulpit, as a Christian, they gangsters. They ain't got nothing to do with the gospel. Same with true with imams if they're not doing the right thing. It's true with rabbis if they're not doing the right thing. It's true with Buddhist leaders and so forth. But at the same time, you come down where you come down. Tim Black comes down here and Sheila's loving him, providing insight and advice. And he at the same time is providing insight and advice too. This is what Tim Black comes down. This is what Brother West comes down. Right. And we come down in the love zone. That's why you my kind of black man, as I said before, man. It ain't a question of agreement or disagreement, man. Not at all. Right.
Well, Dr. West, considering where the campaign has gone, and where we're at the end of it now, nearing the end of it finally, do you have any regrets about how things went with the Green Party? Do you still think you made the right decision to go independent, create your own independent and justice party?
Oh, it was crucial. It was crucial. No doubt about it. There's no way I could have stayed in the Green Party. Well, part of it was just on personal things. You know, we had so many personal acts of dishonesty and disrespect, especially with my loved ones and things. And see, as a black man, I have no patience whatsoever for, any kind of disrespect of loved ones, especially from vanilla folk. I ain't got none. So that I just have to tell the truth about that. You see, so there's no way I could be able to move in that context where that kind of stuff is going on, no matter what. That's not a smear of the whole party. There's a number of wonderful folk in the Green Party, but they got some leaders that got some problems. And I'm not one to just sit around and be silent about it, you see. So that on the one hand, it was a beautiful thing when Brother Chris Hedges had me go over, and I got a chance to spend some good time with John Moo and Jill and the others. But then when I got a close look, I say, no, this ain't a place for a free black man. I can tell you that right now. Right now, I got to be in a context where white supremacy is something I talk about freely every day. It's not an afterthought. It's not something that's continuous at the very, very, very end, you know, of a certain kind of green analysis. No, that's not me at all. And same is true with religion. You say, I ain't gonna be pulling back on Jesus just because most of the folk in the party don't want to hear talk about Jesus. No, then you got the wrong black man. Get another black man. You got the wrong one. And so, you know, but on the other hand, you know, we have to be open to coalitions. We have to be open to alliances and so forth. But we have to be able to tell the truth. And there's certain lines in the sand I draw in terms of loved ones, so that I just don't put up with that kind of dishonesty and disrespect.
So I take it, Dr. West, there hasn't been a reconciliation between you and others who things sort of like parted ways, and not just Dr. Jill Stein, but other folks whose names will not be mentioned. There's been no reaching out, no mending of the fences, no, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it seems like, you know.
I mean, the thing is, you certainly march with them in demonstrations. You know, we spoke at the same rallies because they do have powerful critiques of genocide and so forth. But you see, for me, it's not just a matter of strategy and tactic and correct analysis. If you don't have integrity, honesty, decency, and know how to treat black people like equals and human beings, then I still got my critique. So that I can still come together. But you're right, there's been no kind of reconciliation. No, not at all. Not at all. That's one of the reasons why we, as you know, we're collaborating with the Party for Socialism and Liberation with Sister Claudia and Sister Karina.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. We've had big collab. It was just announcement just today or yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So in the states where we're not there, we want people to vote for them. In the states where we're not there, they say want people to vote for us. And they have, you know, good relations with members of the Green Party. There's no doubt about that. But what I like about Sister Claudia, of course, is she's got at the center of her plank the critiques of capitalism and imperialism and the war against black people. Let's see, that's Malcolm X's last speech he gave in Rochester in February 1965. The war against black folk, not just here, but in the Caribbean and Africa, must be understood in relation in the context of critiques of capitalism and imperialism, but don't marginalize it. It's not an afterthought. Everybody knows that if those precious Palestinian babies and innocent men and women and civilians were white, were Israeli Jews, and the genocide was being perpetrated by Africans or Muslims or Arabs,
right,
the U.S. government would have the exact opposite response.
Right.
Even when capitalism and imperialism is in place, racism is still real. White supremacy is still real. And if you have a love for black people, you know that that is a fundamental feature of what we got to come to terms with. But that doesn't mean we end up following war criminal Harris or anything. No, not at all. It means that we understand it within the context in which, yes, we have to engage in a consistent critique in that regard. Now, it's also true in terms of swing states. That there's only 3 or 4 swing states. You know, we were pushed out of 3 of them. Went to the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday, denied us in Pennsylvania. We went to the Georgia Supreme Court, was pushed off. Our names on the ballot, but they don't count. And the same was true in terms of North Carolina, but we won that, and we lost in Arizona. But it's true, you know, if you're in a swing state and it looks as if you want to either vote for West or not vote for West, that's not exactly the same decision to make if you're in California, Texas. Now, whatever way you come down, I keep telling them to vote for me anyway, but they come down where they come down. I'm not no Pied Piper. Don't just follow me. Think for yourself. Think critically for yourself, but get off the plantation. If you're making a decision, don't just give talking points to CNN and MSNBC. Think for yourself.
Well, Dr. West, if you're running a campaign, you want them to vote for you, right?
Well, I'm telling them. I said I'm voting. All I'm saying is I'm not demonizing them if they come down somewhere else. That's all. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, if you didn't want them to vote for you, you wouldn't have
I
campaigned.
wouldn't put up all this effort.
You're right. You wouldn't have put to get on the ballot, right?
All of the volunteers, the thousands of magnificent volunteers. And I want to say a word about Kiana Dent. You know, she's a visionary, courageous campaign manager, the black sister out of Akron, Ohio. I tell her, LeBron James ain't the only major force coming out of Akron. Howard Hewitt and James Ingram ain't the only ones coming out of Akron. Kiana Dent is. And she's done a magnificent job, though, brother. And I know you had some relations and conversations with her, but as a black woman of tremendous vision, courage, intellect, poise, very young, very young. And of course, with Sister Melina Abdullah, good God Almighty, you know, she's just been magnificent. I told her when I called on the phone with Anahita, my wife, I said, we want somebody to put a smile on Fannie Lou Hamer's face. None of us can meet the standards of Fannie Lou and Martin King and Malcolm and so forth, just like we can't meet standards of Aretha and Curtis, John Coltrane and Sarah Vaughan. We understand that, but we know what the standards are. And she said, I know exactly what you're talking about. And for 7 months, you know, we've been at this in a wonderful way, in addition to my 10 by myself. But I would definitely do it again because I feel this is what I'm called to do, man. I got to be true to my calling, man. This is what the Lord wants me to do.
Shout out to both those dear sisters, man, and I appreciate both of them. And it was a pleasure meeting Dr. Abdullah and having a conversation with her as well.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
It was. We didn't get a chance to talk more, but you know, Dr. West, I was wondering about, have they been coming at you lately about, I know they say you're the smear guy, right? You know, they label you the smear by saying, you know, if Kamala loses, it's going to be your fault. You know?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
You know, are they still on that with you, Dr. West?
And it's worse than that. I mean, you know, the black community would have some voices to say that. Other folks in the black community say, oh, I know they lying on you, West. We appreciate you doing what you do. But no, they say you become the cause of fascism in America. Now, I had some of that the first few weeks. You remember when I first started running, they would say, oh, you know, the third party system, mainly Kennedy was one of the major figures there. You the cause of fascism. I'm the cause of fascism. With 47% of vanilla women are voting for Trump, but one black man is the cause of fascism. Hey, what are we talking about? What is percent of Latinos voting for Trump, but one black man's the cause of fascism? All the vanilla men vote for Trump. Hey, but this is typical. When you can't engage in courageous self-examination, you got to try to blame the person who you think has less power. So they come at you and they say, Tim Black is going to be one of the major causes behind Kamala losing. If she loses, you get fascism. Fascism comes. We lost America. The human race has now come to an end, all because of one black man named Tim Black. Please get off the motherfucking crack pipe.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Check yourself.
You know, Dr. West, I was wondering about it because, you know, I know that when I look at Dr. Stein, I see her more of as a fringe entity. You know, besides election years, I haven't heard from Dr. Stein since, I don't know, 2016. I don't know. It's been a very long time since I had a conversation with her, other than a brief DM about that backstabbing dude. I forget his name. The campaign guy you had for a minute.
Oh, you mean when we had Peter?
Like I asked her.
For campaign for a while. Right. I remember that.
Briefly about that.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
But my thing with her is, they can smear her and say that she caused the downfall of democracy, but we're not going to hear from her again. And I imagine this will be her last run. Age and time. Right. I can't see her doing this again. But you, Dr. West, you are a public intellectual. You know, you're going to be seen. You're going to go out. You're going to continue to be as public as you've been, I imagine. And is there a price? Is there a price to pay, Dr. West, with you going forward?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. But that's a price I've been paying for 57 years, though, brother. you know, with all of the assaults and attacks and death threats and things that I'm used to. But see, part of it is that I've always viewed our campaign as a moment in a movement. See, and I've been in the movement 57 years, man.
Right.
And that means that when you're in movement, it means you're forever in motion. In between the 4 years, you're not campaigning, you organizing with the people. You with where their voices are in light of their wrestling with their suffering, and it cuts a lot of different issues from housing to police. I told you I've blessed teaching prisons for 47 years now. That's still very much a part of it. I can finally go back to my job to teach. But I'm also going to be part and parcel with movements. I'm going to be on the board of Black Lives Matter with my dear sister Melina, and I'm going to be part of United Front that brother Garuba called for, and our dear brother Kalanji called for. I love those brothers. They are my kind of black brothers too. And I don't agree with them on every ideological issue, but I tell you one thing: they ain't on nobody's plantation.
There it is.
At all. This Kalanje and Aruba, and I can mention some others too. You see what I mean? That's the crucial thing. That's the crucial thing. And it's true. I think I don't know what Jill does in between elections. She might do things I just don't know.
Yeah, I just haven't. I just don't see it.
But she tends to look like it appears with the election, because see, the Green Party itself, you know, it's played a very important role in so many ways because we've needed a third party alternative. But it has no grounding in the black community. It has no grounding in poor people's life worlds. It has no grounding in working poor life worlds. So it's played an important role, but more as a option out of default rather than a deep grounding. Now, it's difficult to ground a movement in the black world. It's very difficult. There's no doubt about that. But that's what is required. And you know, and I know that we wouldn't be who we are without our mamas and daddies and grandmamas and granddaddies and churches, and it could be a mosque. All of those things are in the black world. All the sports, all the music, all the relations, all the barbershops. That's what produced us. That's what's inside of us. We got to be true to the best of that. That ain't no Green Party situation,
no,
man.
it's not.
It's
But
just,
Dr. West, why not a black party as opposed to a justice and peace party?
well, I tell you, I think black leadership is crucial. Black leadership, and I was there at MBIP in Philadelphia in 1980 when we tried to form a national black independent political party. So that I'd be open to that, but most importantly, you have to have a black leadership or a John Brown-like leadership, where you got vanilla brothers and sisters who know that the forms of terror and trauma and brutalization and the forms of resilience and resistance coming out of the black community are essential for any left, any American left. And I've been saying this for 50-some years. I used to say it to Bernie all the time. I say, Brother Bernie, I'm with you because of your critiques of Wall Street, greed, and so forth and so on. We got to ground ourselves. Nina Turner said the same thing, in the black world. And he made some efforts and so forth. But I mean, he's a, you know, marvelous secular Jewish brother from Brooklyn. So it's not like he go hit the Apollo every week and be in the groove. Culturally, existentially, he that was not his world. He was anti-racist, not strong enough and anti-imperialist. When he was tested on genocide in Gaza, he didn't pass the test, man.
Yeah. Capitulation. Yeah.
He didn't pass the test. Now, he's tried to bounce back, but I'm just saying all this to say that when we actually look at all of these mappings of what's available. Now, on the other hand, you know what the good news is, brother? The good news is, just like you, younger than me, got insights I don't have because I'm old school. You kind of crypto old school. You know what I mean? You're getting old, but you ain't there yet.
I'm getting old.
We got some young folk coming along who are hungry and thirsty. And one of the reasons why I ran was to win the election, to win hearts and minds, but also to let the young people know that there are great black traditions out there of courage and vision and service and sacrifice. And this is what it looks like. And you take it and run in your own way. But this is what it looks like. It's like Monk listening to Earl Father Hines. And you know he can't play like Father Hines. Hines is playing with Louis Armstrong. That's too much. But Monk can play with Train. And there's no Monk without Father Hines. But Monk is doing something Father Hines can't do. Certain things you're doing, I can't do. Certain things the young brothers and sisters going to come along with, the young folk, they're going to say, oh, but I remember that free brother named Tim Black that had his own show that called Hell in the World, but not of it, cutting against the grain. People misunderstanding him, trashing him. But I loved his spirit and his love for black people and other people. I'll never forget it. And they might say a similar word about Brother West. We remember that brother getting trashed, Obama, so-and-so, the cause of fascism and so forth. But it looked like he was just a fallible, sincere brother trying to tell the truth and seek justice and keep his own calling in place with style and a smile and put a smile on his mama's face and never forget the memories of his grandmama's prayer. Doesn't get better than that, man.
It doesn't.
It don't get better than that. You know what I mean?
I just want to remind people that Dr. West has put something on the line by doing this. And he's not going to, he's a notable person who has done this, and there's going to be something to pay for this.
Oh, Lord.
There's going to be opportunities that are not going to materialize for Dr. West because he's done that. And he may not have done everything that the way that they would want you to do it because you're a different person than them. They're in a different vantage point. But Dr. West has put up and he has sacrificed more than you know in order to do what he's done. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think people are always looking for what they're not getting. It's seldom that they look at what they got.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. But I would say the same thing about you, though, man. I mean, you look at what you've had to sacrifice. If you had stayed on some of the earlier plantations where you become colorful and become figurines and so forth, you could be making so much cash, man, breakdancing to the bank. But you got your integrity, you got your honesty, you got your decency, you got your freedom, and you got your respect, the respect of those who love you, and your self-respect. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? That's something you can't buy. You can't buy that, man.
No,
it ain't for sale.
I would have, but see, with me, Dr. West, I would have stayed in the white collar world if that's the case. I didn't leave that to come here and then be, and then sell my soul. I could have, you know what I'm saying? I had a whole nother life before.
Right.
20 years of doing that. I could have stayed over there.
Absolutely.
So now, Dr. West, if I would have known that, I don't know how hard it is.
If you'd have known it was going to be such a cash challenge. But I can tell you this, brother, that we come from a people that even when there's no cash, there's always gas. We got a whole lot of spiritual, moral gas shot through our bones, fire in our bones, that if we don't say nothing, the rocks are going to shout out. That's where we come from. We can't hold our peace. Mm-hmm. Because what's inside of us has been poured into us by loving and great black people.
Dr. West. You guys, give me a like button. Hit the like button for Dr. West. If you like this conversation with Dr. West, hit the like button. And don't forget, he's still on the ballot a lot of places now.
We got 16 on the ballot. And we had the largest write-in campaign in the history of the nation, history of the country. 26 states right in, 16 on the ballot. And I do want to shout out the Aurora Party in Alaska and the Unity Party in Colorado, the Progressive Party in Oregon. And I was just in South Carolina with the United Citizens Party, which is the only black political party with access to the ballot, with the Nellam brothers, co-founded by Clyburn. When he was against the Jim Crow Democratic Party, he was a radical in those days. Now he got an establishment, got well-adjusted to injustice, and he's at the top now. But we talk about his history because the United Citizens Party with the Nellam brothers, John and Christopher, and Vance, and all the wonderful people there. Because you remember, I started in Mississippi. I said I'm going straight to Fannie Lou Hamer's site, Lexington. We got endorsement of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which meant the world to me because Fannie Lou Hamer, for me, is one of the great figures of the 20th century. And the last major tour, because we ran out of money given all the legal suits we had to deal with, was in South Carolina, and I was at Morris College, founded in 1908, way out in Sumter, South Carolina. I was there at Benedict College in Columbia. These are all Black institutions of higher learning. I was there at House of Prayer for All People, right around the corner from Allen University to AME University, Reed AME, Brooklyn Baptist Church on across the bridge in Columbia. These are all Black institutions, pillars of the community, but a whole lot of vanilla folk also partly coming, open to it, but knowing that when they come, just like when they come to your show,
right,
they're gonna hear from a free Black man.
That's right. Absolutely, Dr. West. Well, I don't know. Do you still feel Trump is a quintessential? What is it? The existential. That's the word. That's the word I never used until this last cycle, man. But an existential threat. Do you feel that Trump is still an existential threat? What's up?
I think both of them are in different ways. I think that Trump could be viewed as certainly an existential threat in terms of move towards civil war and the refusal to give up power peacefully and so forth. That's what fascism is. It's the wholesale arbitrary use of power. Now, with the Democrats and with war criminal Sister Harris, you actually have a movement toward World War III. In World War III, in wars, usually the first casualty is truth. The second casualty are those who speak the truth. And you end up with authoritarian rule. You know what happened to the Japanese during World War II.
Yeah.
In World War II, they said it was a good war because you're fighting against a gangster named Hitler. We understand that, very much so. But when you riling up innocent Japanese, and the only voices raised, W.B. Du Bois, and of course he was villainized, vilified and demonized. Norman Thomas, who was a white vanilla brother of the Socialist Party. No other major voices defended the Japanese, man. All these innocent Japanese with the executive order. The same Earl Warren who had the Brown v. Board of Education. It was his court that executed it. See, so that when you think of the threats, existential threats, the chickens are coming home to roost. You're reaping what you sow when you have predatory capitalist system with such organized greed. 62% of the people living paycheck to paycheck. 140 million people are poor or near poor. This is what William Barber and others have talked about in his recent book on white poverty too. And yet their response is, for the most part, not to vote at all. That's about 95 million. That's 40% of Americans not voting at all.
That's right.
And that's where large numbers of my supporters actually come from. Most people who will vote for me would never vote for Harris or Trump. Most of them, you see. But both of them are threats because the system itself is so rotten. The system itself is so corrupt. And if there's no way of changing the system, then it looks as if the empire is addicted to self-destruction. No way out. But the thing about it, brother, we come from a Black folk. Pharaoh's always been on both sides of the bloody Red Seas. It always looked like no way out of slavery, no way out of neo-slavery, no way out of white supremacy. And what do we have to do? We had to find a way out of no way. And how do you do that? You got to come up with new ways of loving, new ways of fighting for freedom, new ways of dealing with trauma, with healing, and new ways of dealing with depths of sorrow with forms of joy. Listen to this high C, West End blues. Here's Louis Armstrong playing King Oliver.
Right.
That's a way out. That note, that blue note itself, dignity, defiance, determination. We told these Black folk, there's never going to be a way out for you. And we say, listen to these flattened notes. Listen to this sound. Listen to this love. Listen to this transgenerational connection. Look at grandmama loving little Tim and loving little Cornel in such a way that lo and behold, they might be able to straighten their backs out and be free Black men in 2024 in a moment in which the empire is imploding, a moment in which Black folk are so well adapted to the injustice they don't want to hear the truth enough, a moment in which lo and behold, we step out on nothing and land on something. That's the history of Black people. That's why we going down swinging, because it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
Got that swing.
That's Duke. That's Billie Holiday.
Mm.
That's Carmen McRae. These not just entertainers. These are freedom fighters, my brother. So anytime you get down and out and you get discouraged, all you got to say to these folk trash and you and so forth is that y'all don't understand who I am. You don't understand my mama and my daddy. You don't understand what produced me.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I
You
do.
know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone wants to know, Dr. West. They said, people want to know, Dr. West, if you told voters to back Kamala in the swing states.
I told them to think for themselves, to be critical. I told them I disagree with them if they don't vote for me. I think people ought to vote for me. There's no doubt about that. But they come down where they want to come down.
There it is.
They come down where they want to come down. All I was doing was acknowledging that a swing state situation does not have exactly the same dynamics as a non-swing state. That's all I'm talking
about. Got it. Got it. Well, this person, they sent a couple of dollars to ask you that. Sister Denise Columbia asked that. Thank you, Denise. And, you know, and I want to make sure, because you've already said it, but I want to make sure she got it, because yeah, like I tell people, man, you know, I don't think Dr. West would have did this. You know, I don't think you spent 17 months running and away from your family. I know Dr. Anahita was with you a lot, but still, I mean, there's other things you could have done. You could have been, you know, at working at home. You don't go through all that just to say, well, you know.
Certainly have more cash flow. I can tell you.
There it is.
The cash flow wasn't that much. I was broke before, but even broken now. But that's all right. Seek ye first the kingdom. Other things be added.
Yeah, I saw you on Stephen A. Smith's show. How was it being on the show with Stephen A? Because I'm interested in his involvement in politics now.
Now, this is the brother in sports.
Yeah.
Because you see, I did about almost 1,000, so it's hard to remember each and every one. But he kind of dressed kind of sharp.
Kind of.
I had a good time with it. I had a good time with my brother.
He's the only brother louder than me, Dr. West. He's the only person talk louder than me.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's the only one that talks louder than me.
Oh, but no, you got a tone, brother. You got a nice tone in your voice, so man.
Stephen is loud. Stephen A. is loud, but yeah, you know, you guys had a great conversation.
But we had a good dialogue, though.
Yeah.
I have good memories of it, you know what I mean. But I don't remember the details of things. But no, I appreciate him. Brother James Brown, you know, is my dear brother who's in that particular arena. And we've done a number of things in churches and things. We go back. He was my roommate in college, you know. At Harvard. Yeah, he's one of the greatest basketball players in the history of Harvard. But he's a Christian man. He's got so much love in his heart. And he runs the youth ministries in Washington, D.C. and his churches and things. And his mother was just a gem, Mrs. Brown. My God. But I say that because when I think of folk in that arena, I think James Brown even before I think of Brother Stephen Smith.
Yeah, brother. Dr. West, I'm just looking back at your campaign, man, and you said 17 months of I just remember all the moments when you what was that show you went on, brother? You were talking about Palestinian. I think it was Pierce Morgan. It was you and Dr. I don't know, brother. You had so many moments.
When I called him a racist.
That's it.
Oh yeah, I told him, brother. I said, man, it's clear to me that Palestinian life doesn't have the same value as Israeli Jewish life.
That's it.
And some of us have been taught that every life has the same value, no matter what color, religion, national identity. And it's clear Palestinian lives don't mean nothing to you. But the sad thing is, that's true for the Democratic Party. That's true for Harris. It's true for Biden. It's true for Blinken. It's true for Austin. It's true for Thomas Greenfield. Palestinian life does not have the same value as Israeli Jewish life. It just doesn't. Because they have completely different policies. If those were not Palestinian life, that's racism, man, at its deepest level. And if we can't call that out, shame on us. Shame on us. And we know it was exactly the case over 75 years ago, and the Democratic Party wouldn't say a word about what? Jim Crow, lynching, black folk getting trashed, black women getting sexually violated and raped in white households and stuff. Because what? Because it wasn't an electoral strategy that would work. Oh, really? You gonna use my grandmama as an example of whether your electoral strategy works or not? You in the wrong place, mother hucker. I ain't coming from that place and will never accept that. I don't care how many black leaders, black politicians want to be strategic and tactical in relation to the Democratic Party. 75 years ago, that same party would not allow Jim Crow, Jane Crow, terrorism against black people, and lynching to have any voice at the convention, just like they didn't have a voice at the Palestinian voice at the convention.
Right.
You had some Negroes up there. Oh, I'm working it out. It's going. I got this strategy. It's going to work out in the next 55 years. Hey, we'll be dead by then. We hitting the streets. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to fight for justice. Here come Martin. You know what I mean? Here come Rosa Parks. Oh, here comes Stokely Carmichael. Here comes James Lawson. Here comes Diane Nash. Oh, Lord, look at all of them. Oh, these black folks straighten their backs up. They've been niggerized for so long, so scared and intimidated and thinking, they laughing when it ain't funny, scratching when it don't itch, thinking they got to wear the mask everywhere. Take that mask off and be free. Take it off and be free. Don't you know love forces us to take off the mask? We know we cannot live with it, and fear we cannot live without. Where's the love of your people? That's what was happening in the 40s and 50s. So it is in 2020s. And if we lose that, brother, we lost everything.
Brother, they're not allowed to be proud of themselves unless they wrap it into the political party of the Democratic Party, brother. Exactly. I mean, we just did a show with BET where all these black brothers got together and all this power in one room, and all of it was rooted in helping Kamala. Why can't they use that power, that brain power, that soul, that intensity, that emotion for the black community? But no, they want to give it for the Democratic Party. Oh, we need the black vote for Kamala. We need to have this black woman's back. And it's just so demoralizing, Dr. West said, that it comes down to that every election, man. They just everything is about political parties. It's not about the people.
4 years, but part of it is too. We got a professional class that's just on the gravy train, as I said. They're looking for jobs, they're looking for status. And I understand, you know, jobs and status, everybody got to get a job to feed their family and so forth. But if there's no integrity, no honesty. Now, I do believe there are some black folk who support Harris, who are very honest and have integrity. They just disagree with you and I. There are some folk like that. And I zero in on that. But fewer and fewer. Because the lies, see, once you start lying, it becomes habituated. And that's part of the problem. You see, you try to keep track of Trump's lies. He got, 25,000 every 4 months. You know what I mean? It's just layer on top of layer. Tucker Carlson the same way. But you don't respond with lies to lies. You got to speak the truth. And the same is true with the crimes. Trump's a convicted criminal. Everybody knows if he's a black man, he would have been in jail long time ago. We know that. But Democratic Party got its own crimes. So you don't respond with lies and crimes with crime. Where's the truth? Where's justice? And if there's no space for truth and justice and love, brother, what kind of world is that? That's hell.
That's where we at. That's where we at, Dr. West.
Not completely, as long as there's a Tim Black around.
Or Dr. Cornel West around.
Well, I mean, we want to be part of that cloud of witnesses, man. You know what I mean? No, as long as there's some truth tellers around, and we thank God you always have a cloud of witnesses, no matter what. That's the good news.
What's next, Dr. West? What's next for Dr. West? We're coming down to it. How's it look on the way out?
We pushing like I don't know what these last 4.5 days, man, and we're going to meet. We're having our meeting the morning after the election to build on what we've already built. That's Kiana Dent. visionary leader, all of us together. And I told you before about, the United Front with Deruba and Kalandri and things.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be open to other kind of United Front. Whoever wins is going to be civic stripes. We know that. Whoever wins, there's a good chance of world war. Whoever wins, white supremacy and capitalism and imperialism still going to be pervasive. So you got to be equipped. Back to the 6th chapter of Ephesians. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Put on the whole armor. Put it on. You come to the Tim Black Show, get your armor together.
That's it.
Intellect, spiritual, moral, political.
Dr. West, who's going to win this thing?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
Hard to say, but as you know, I'm not focused on just the win. I'm focused on what our collective response will be, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, I tell people, man, that's when the fight really starts.
I love that.
I
love that, brother. I love that. Very much so.
Anybody got comments for Dr. West before I let the brother go? You know he's got stuff to do, y'all. Who I got over here? Cornel West is the GOAT. Infamous Ellie says you are the GOAT. That's the greatest of all time.
Brother Ellie. Where's Brother Ellie from?
I have no idea. He's new. He just joined us because of you, it looks like. So
God bless him, and tell him that we pray for his loved ones, and it's blessed to have your loved ones still in place.
Better You says, Dr. West, I know you don't remember me, but we met in Augusta, Georgia at Bernie's rally. Your voice is needed and lets many of us know we ain't crazy.
Oh, Lord. Oh, and that's Better You.
Better You. Oh, you can see it. Great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, Dr. West. So look, thank you once again, brother, for stopping through, for sharing your time with me, man. I appreciate it. And as always, I'm riding with you, man, and I wish you the best, Dr. West. You and Dr. Anahita West.
No, but you and Sister Sheila, man, y'all are, like I say, you're the salt of the earth, though, man. And you call on me anytime, in public or private, I will come running. If I don't have money for a plane, I'm going to hitchhike. But I'm going to see my brother Jim Black and Sister Sheila, because I love you, we love you, and respect you. And, of course, we're always, we're praying, though, man, because all of us wrestling with loss and all of us coming to terms with what life has to offer. You just keep that armor strong, my brother. Freedom and love, love and freedom. Woo! Our ancestors smiling over the porch of heaven and say, there's one part of the cloud of witnesses who haven't sold out, haven't given up, haven't caved in. He still got that fire.
That's it, brother. I'm a work in progress, but I'm going to keep on progressing. And the same thing. Same thing goes for you, Dr. West. If you need me, just let me know.
Oh, no, I appreciate that, though. But love you, though, brother. Take good care now.
You got it now.
All
right, y'all.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, guys, look, I'll be back in about an hour and a half for the Tim Black Show. We got 2 shows tonight, so I'll see you soon. Thank you for being here. And as always, don't let nobody take your cornbread. Be back at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, where my girls at?